No memes today.
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact. Probably, maybe. Today, I'm feeling a little bit sicky, so I cut together some old stories that were rejected. And they weren't necessarily rejected because they were bad stories. It was more like I went over time on the recording, so I just held on to them for a later date. And it seems that this later date has come because I've got like a pretty horrible stomach flu. Almost getting over it now, so we'll have some more fresh content tomorrow. But for today, please enjoy this grab bag that I put together for you. It's 2 Legbeard stories and 1 Neckbeard story, and I hope that you enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. Friends, Neckbeard brother. Hello, I've been a part of Reddit for a while now, but never really posted anything other than a few questions in other forums. But after watching Vincey and ReddX, on YouTube, talking about neckbeards and whatnot, I figured it was finally time to post mine. So we know who we're dealing with. We got OP, who was 14 or 15 at the time, call him L, NB, my friend at the time's brother, Mandy, the friend, and MLB, which is not Major League Baseball, it's just Mandy's little brother. We can all agree that when we're young, we are naive. Now this is coming from a girl who didn't have any type of backbone. I was like a jellyfish, spineless but nice. I don't think jellyfish are nice. They're mostly just indifferent, and sometimes if you swim too close to them, they'll sting the shit out of you. It's happened a few times here in the Philippines. It's not fun. Anyways, I digress. Being in middle school, on my way to high school, I made some friends. Even for a small town, it was difficult to come by due to people being two-faced. Oh, that's not just in small towns. Now, I did have a friend at the time who we will call Mandy. I was good friends with her and her little brother, who we'll call MLB. I stayed over at her house a lot. Her mom and her stepdad were awesome, but when I did stay over, her older brother just gave off vibes which, of course, like a dumbass, I ignored. One night while staying with Mandy, I was going to ride the bus with her to school the next day. It was getting close to the time to start getting ready for bed after eating some supper, so we were just walking around outside, so on and so forth. And she was helping me figure out her shower when I kept noticing that the neckbeard kept walking by, poking his head in and giving a smile, a creepy one at that. But me, being a dunce, ignored it because his room was close to the bathroom. Once Mandy left, I started my shower, but something felt off. Really off. I finished my shower, got dressed, and as I opened the door, there stood Neckbeard, smiling. Not like a friendly smile, but one of those Joker smiles. But somehow even worse. Of course, I screamed and called out for my friend, and she came running because her parents were outside having a smoke or something. When she came around the corner, she went off on her brother, asking him what he was doing there and why he was standing at the bathroom door knowing damn well that I was in there.
Oh, I was just waiting for her to get out so I could show her something in my room,
was all he said as he backed away. Now he was a tall guy, bushy hair, but his beard was like a bushy, patchy type, and he always smelled of weed and onions. Thankfully, my friend got him off my back, till he got my number by sneaking it off her phone. Though that's a story for a different time, as I don't even know if this one will be read. But those who do read it, thank you, and I appreciate it. Well, I think that story could have used a little more sustenance. You should have gone off on the phone tangent, but hey, if you want to tell it at another time, I ain't gonna pressure you. You know, you take your time with it. I definitely think that this guy had major creep vibes. Poking his head into the bathroom while you're in there, like what the fuck? That's a good way to get a shampoo bottle thrown straight at your head. This story, even though it's short, I believe it 100%, simply for the minor fact that it's super hard to take showers at other people's house, isn't it? You've always got to like figure out which way the knob goes and shit like that. Why can't bathroom fixtures just be uniform? It doesn't make any sense. I don't have a whole lot of anecdotal evidence, as I don't make a habit of showering in other people's houses. But that makes the story believable to me, and I hope that you share more, OP. But anyways, short and sweet, no problem. Let's roll on into the next one. A wild Pikachubeard appears. Oh snap, another one. Cast, OP 24, female, obsessed with weightlifting and Pokemon, plays a barbarian tiefling in D&D. Nick, 26 male, a platonic friend, super buff, a Chad, obsessed with the Arkham video game series and Pokemon, plays a human bard in D&D. Pikachubeard, 30-something, male, short, doughy, pasty, obsessed with Naruto and fitness chicks. Thinks that MTG is better than D&D. Well, that's just apples and oranges, isn't it? Giant oak tree in the sky. 24 female, our dungeon master, very unbothered by everything. There's a guy at my local game shop that showed up every weekend to play MTG with his friends around the same time that my group played D&D. Let's call him Pikachubeard. Now, our group meets at 6:30 on Fridays, but since I get out of work at 5, and I live in another city that's 30 minutes from the city that I work in and game at, I always show up to the game shop early. Nick got out even earlier, but lived in that city, so he started meeting me at 5:15 so I didn't have to wait around on my own. There were always plenty of people to talk to, many who look cool enough, but I'm an extremely shy person whose face gives a natural fuck off vibe, or so I've been told. I think they call it resting bitch face. But no shade though. Anyways, Nick and I love Pokemon, and we played this game all the time where we would pick a type from the games and then take turns listing either Pokemon or their moves that are those types. For example, if we're doing Ice, we'll say Dugong if we're doing Pokemon, or Avalanche if we're doing moves. Like I said, this is something that we did quite often in the shop, scribbling down a sloppy list so that we couldn't cheat and use the same evolution line in a different type later on. So this guy, Pikachubeard, had obviously overheard this game of ours, and he left his table to hover somewhere behind where we were sitting. We were on Fairy type and were listing moves. I said Floor Cannon. Nick said Moonbeam. Charm. All of a sudden I felt something on my shoulder. Something heavy. I looked at Nick in panic as the stench of hamburger sweats wafted up my nose. Nick looked far from amused, and I turned my head. Pikachubeard was leaning over the back of my chair, and his doughy, pasty, hairy stomach was pressed against my arm and shoulder. Ugh. The hem of his filthy, too small Iron Man shirt had ridden up.
Sing!
He declared loudly, staring straight down the neckline of my V-neck t-shirt as he stood there. I crossed my arms over my chest and leaned away from this guy so he wasn't touching me, and he looked up at Nick. What? Nick scowled at this guy, as if he were the most disgusting creature that he'd ever seen.
Sing! It's a fairy type move!
Pikachubeard looked very pleased with himself. I may have laughed, but Nick rolled his eyes. No, it's not.
Yes, it is,
Pikachubeard said.
Minccino uses it.
Minccino's a normal type. Nick crossed his arms, a move meant to intimidate. He was quite big. I think your game is over there. He pointed out into the main room of the shop where the magic tournaments were happening. Pikachubeard straightened, looking highly offended.
You really think someone like you knows more about Pokemon than me? Obviously, Minccino is a normal/fairy type.
He looked down at me for confirmation. I just shook my head, probably looking like a deer in headlights, like I always do when someone I don't know addresses me out of nowhere. Get the fuck out of here. Nick laughed out loud. He leaned across the table, looking me in the eye, obviously trying to ice the guy out of our conversation. Baby doll eyes. Pikachubeard just stood there, directly behind my chair, and I couldn't concentrate. All I could hear was this heavy breathing wheezing over my head, and Pokemon was the last thing on my mind. I must have looked as trapped as I felt, because Nick glared back up at the beard. What?
That's such a beginner move. Why don't you use something more obscure?
My eyes widened and Nick sat straight up, rigid in his chair. Why don't you go back to your own game? There were no mistaking his words as a suggestion, but Pikachubeard didn't take the hint.
This lovely lady obviously needs to play with someone who knows what he's talking about, not some Chad who only played Sword and Shield and now thinks he's an expert.
Oh, someone like who? Nick stood up, every muscle in his body flexed.
Why don't you look it up?
Pikachubeard said smugly, gesturing to my phone sitting on the table in front of me.
Show this pleb who's the real Pokemon master.
Nick's fury cracked and he snorted with laughter. Pokemon master? Bitch, fuck you. I'd never heard him cuss before. He was usually a chill, rational, let's talk this out type of guy. Get out of here, you tub of shit, or I swear on my mama's name I'm gonna knock the butter residue off your fucked up teeth. Pikachubeard growled, like a dog. I was so shocked, I turned in my chair to confirm what was happening with my eyes. And, yep, this grown-ass, 400-pound man was hunched over making clawing gestures with his hands and growling.
You done it now, motherfucker.
His lips sputtered as he kind of hissed while gritting his teeth.
Now you've woken up the demon inside of me.
I was not remotely afraid for Nick. He could handle this weirdo, but I was slightly concerned about the guy's mental stability. Not to mention, fighting would definitely get us thrown out of the shop, and we had a campaign to participate in. What the hell is your problem, kid? Our dungeon master, aka the giant oak tree in the sky, walked through the open doorway, staring at Pikachubeard as if you were insane, and for good reason. Get out of here, or I'll have Ronnie throw you out. Ronnie owned the shop. Pikachubeard cupped his face, his growl getting softer, and then he straightened, as if he weren't just trying to turn into a werewolf. He jabbed a finger at Nick.
You got lucky this time. Don't let me catch you disrespecting women again.
Then he just waddled away. Nick had an incredulous look on his face. He looked at me. What was that? I just laughed. The giant oak tree in the sky looked at us, waiting, and we quickly rambled out what had happened. This wasn't the last time that we had to deal with Pikachubeard. He actually joined our campaign for a few sessions. Thanks, giant oak tree. And things went downhill fast with that guy. But this is definitely the story that stuck out the most with me. Now, every time Nick and I play this game and have our answers contested, we always say,
You've done it now, motherfucker.
And growl. It's funny every time. Luckily for us, we haven't heard much from him since the stay-at-home order. I don't know, man. How hard is it to mind your own business, honestly? The dude kind of reminds me of Wolfbeard, except, he's actually in his natural environment, which would be the local game shop, instead of running around out in the woods. Neckbeards don't belong in the woods. You get back in that game shop. Pikachubeard was obviously just feeling threatened by having, quote-unquote normies in the game shop. But the truth is that nerd culture is entering the mainstream in a big way, and things like D&D and Pokemon aren't relegated to the corners like they used to be in the 60s and 70s, So this Neckbeard thought that he could go flex his manhood by breaking out his Pokemon knowledge, which was wrong. Minchino is a normal type. But even if he had been right, what did he expect to happen, OP to just be like, oh my god, you're right. Minchino is a fairy type. Please take me now, right here on this table. No. Even if you're right, they're going to be like, okay, weirdo, please leave me alone. I'm quite obviously playing a game with my friend. Now, you could have approached it like a normal person, walked up to the table and been like, hey guys, can I play? And they might say yes, but probably they'll say no, and then you just leave. Knowing that even if it wasn't successful, you just had a normal human interaction. The wrong way to approach it is walking up behind a woman and placing your fucking belly on her shoulder. I don't even do that to my wife. I want her to still be able to be attracted to me when she looks at me later in the day. That is just so disgusting. I honestly haven't played a Pokemon game since, Black and White? Black and White 2? But back then, I used to be pretty good at it. If I picked up the new one, which I won't because having Pokemon locked behind a DLC paywall is just ridiculous, I could probably still be pretty good at it. However, calling yourself a Pokemon master, in real life, in public, oh god, I feel the cringe pain. It's horrible. Never, please, stop. Get some help. Anyways, we got one more story, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So let's go ahead and hop on into it. Jealous Legbeard seeks attention. I'm kind of new to Reddit, and this is my first post in this sub, so hi. Hi, excess of salt. I'm ReddX. I know I knew several Legbeards in high school, but this is the story of one of the most interesting. The cast is as follows. OP, excess of salt, a high school senior, female, book nerd, not popular, but I had my group of close friends. Angel, the Legbeard. I'll call her Angel because she wore a jean jacket every day that had Angel scrawled across the back of it in Sharpie. Fairy, Angel's friend. Jimbo, one of my guy friends. We had PE together. Scrapper was Angel's boyfriend. Before they started dating, Scrapper and I went to a school dance together as friends. Okay, here we go. One day I was walking through the cafeteria. I spotted Jimbo and walked over to his table just to say hi. We were joking a little about PE because we had played basketball in class and I was really bad at it. Jimbo said something like, yeah, I thought you'd be good at it since you're so tall. I'm 5'10". Suddenly, this voice behind me goes,
Oh, you think you're tall? We'll see who's tall.
I turned to see Angel standing up from her table and marching towards me. She came up to my chin. Jimbo laughed awkwardly, and Angel just went back and sat down. I'd never even met her before, so I just thought, well, that was weird. Yes, it was. The next semester, Angel and Fairy were both in my science class. The seats were assigned, but it just so happened that Angel's seat was in front of mine and Fairy's was to the left of mine. They had this notebook that they both took turns writing in. It was like this roleplay story. They passed it back and forth in front of me all the time, and Angel would whisper stuff like,
Don't let her see it. It's very secret. Sorry, OP. It's just very personal. Well, you can read it if you really want to.
I didn't really want to, so I didn't. But this went on and on for weeks. So finally, I just flipped through the pages. They were role-playing as two girls lost in the fairy realm. I quickly noticed that Angel's character was the ultimate Mary Sue, and tragedies befell her on every single page. Like I said, I only flipped through it, but I saw several counts of rape, which was very disturbing, comas, kidnappings, miscarriages, or accidentally killing people with her newly discovered magical powers. All of which was written out as dramatically as possible, complete with asterisks. I don't want y'all to think I'm an insensitive jerk here. I know that all of these issues are serious, extremely hard to go through, and I'm not trying to make light of them in any way. It just still bugs me that she threw these in so flippantly, just to make her character seem more interesting. One day we were put in the same group for an assignment. She was drawing something on a piece of paper while I and the rest of the group read the assignment instructions. When she was done, she put the paper on the table in front of her. I kept working, but noticed that every so often she would nudge the paper closer to me, like she wanted me to look at it, so I did. She had drawn this picture of a sad girl crying in the rain in front of a tombstone, and she'd written this poem about how her best friend died. Again, I'm not trying to make light of serious issues. I won't go into detail, but the over-the-top way that she wrote it made it really obvious that it was totally fake. She was sitting there watching me read it, and as soon as I was done, she grabbed it and said,
That's private. I can't believe you read it. How could you?
Of course, everyone in the group could see that she practically shoved it under my nose and called her out on it. Angel continued being weirdly competitive. I like to draw, and one day the teacher saw one of my drawings and complimented it. Angel immediately said,
Well, look at my drawings.
And she pulled out her notebook to show him. Once I was telling Fairy that I had watched this anime series over the weekend, and Angel said,
Oh, you think you're an anime fan? Well, I watched hundreds of series.
Just a lot of weird things like that. Obviously, I wondered what her problem was, but it didn't really bother me. I just thought that she was weird and craving attention. Yes and yes. Everything became a little more clear one day when she came into class and threw her jacket down on my desk. Wielding a Sharpie, she scribbled on the jacket until it now said,
Scrapper's Angel.
I felt like she was expecting some big reaction, but I just said, Oh, Scrapper? I know him.
I know you know him.
She seethed.
But he's my boyfriend, so back off.
I was really confused because we had gone on one date as friends, and it was a year before. Beyond saying hey in the hallway once in a while, we really hadn't even spoken in months. I told her all this and she relaxed.
Oh, what a relief. I thought you might be trying to steal him.
After that, she was nicer to me. She even offered to let me join in on their role-playing. There was no way that was happening. Here's the cherry on the top of this sundae. The weirdest part of the story. The part that keeps me wondering to this day. I spoke to Scrapper again at the end of the school year. I mentioned how I had a class with his girlfriend. He looked confused. I don't have a girlfriend, he said. Angel? I ask. He looks even more confused. Angel's not my girlfriend, she's my cousin. Dueling banjos intensifies. So yeah, I have no idea what was going through Angel's mind. I never talked to her again. I saw her a few times the next semester, but She would just run away whenever she saw me. I think she was just a sad girl looking for some attention, even if it came to lying. Sorry for any formatting or grammar errors. Isn't it silly how the OPs that actually know how to construct a story apologize for their formatting and grammar? Lord. I just love the hell out of this story though, man. Oh, what a twist at the end. Angel's definitely a weird chick, and that didn't make it any better. There's a reason that she ran away from OP and avoided her the rest of the time they saw each other. Angel's cousin probably went up to her and was like, "Did you say that I was your boyfriend?" What the hell is wrong with you? Or maybe they actually are boyfriend and girlfriend and just trying to keep it on the down low. But I would prefer to think that that is not the case. Oh God. See, now this is a true one-upper, okay? The true one-upping happens when it's something that's completely inconsequential. Hey, I watched some anime.
Oh yeah, well I watched 100 animes.
Like, well, who gives a shit, dude? Good for you. Even the introduction of this character is totally off the wall. She's like,
You think you're tall?
"Oh, well, I'm shorter, so I'm gonna go sit down now. Please forget I said anything, everybody." Oh, God. I love this story. Thank you so much for sharing, OP. This is the first story in this episode that I truly, personally enjoyed. I try not to vet stories too hard just so I can get the first reaction, you know, and this sort of thing is exactly the reason why. Like, the cousin thing just came out of left field. Oh, it tickles me pink, man. So good. And friends, if you would like to tickle me pink, I hope that you will like, comment, and or subscribe on this video. That is always massively, massively appreciated. We've also got a link swarm down in the description. You can support monetarily through PayPal or Patreon. You can also come and visit me over on Twitter or Discord or Facebook or my other channel, and that would be pretty dang cool. And of course, as always, I would be remiss not to thank my gorgeous patrons. We've got Crimson Albedo, Dot Nathan, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Just Austin, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, and Cider Drinker. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, helping me to live the dream. Obviously, if anybody else wants to support monetarily, I welcome it quite heartily. But if you can't right now, that's alright. I just appreciate you hanging out with me, making me a part of your day. And I hope you'll make me a part of your day tomorrow as well. In order to do so, you'll need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, super important, but also, equally important, take some time out to do something that you personally enjoy today, because you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely, definitely deserve it. I'll see you in the next one, friends, and until then, bye-bye.